And I'm Tyler.
And we are going to show you such a good time. But Tyler, let me ask you something.
What's that, Marissa?
What is a Smackstack?
You know what? I know a little bit about the Smackstack, but can we go a little bit more in depth?
Absolutely. That's why we're all here. And I'm going to show you just how to do that.
All right.
We have a 60-second video prepared for you to show you what the Smackstack is and how it is going to further your business strategy. Let's roll the tape.
We all know marketing before the digital age was much simpler. There were a limited number of channels that constituted the marketing mix. Marketing in today's world, however, is much more complex. We all know that. As marketers, we are faced with an overwhelming number of channels. There's your website, your blog, video, mobile apps, SEO, SEM, Facebook, Twitter, email, print, and the list goes on and on. We, as marketers, are asked to sift through all the noise and figure out how to build the best marketing strategy, and all this on a limited budget. Let's go back in time for a minute. We had the mainframe wave in the 70s, the mini-computers in the 80s, and the internet revolution in the 90s and early millennium. Each of these waves of computing saw exponential increases in business productivity and ROI as organizations leveraged the power of technology. At Ayantek, we believe there's a new wave of computing. This new wave is what we're calling the Smackstack, and it encompasses the combined use of social, mobile, analytics, and cloud technologies. Marketers who conceptualize these four technologies together as a stack will drive higher customer engagement, greater innovation, and exponential growth opportunities, not unlike those seen by early adopters in the PC and internet revolutions. Isn't that your ultimate goal?
Wow, that was such an informative video.
Exactly. I love a guy with a British accent.
Always a win.
Always.
But before we go into the SmackDown to see how our teams are going to do that, we're going to give you just a brief layout of how this event is going to run. We're going to hear from the Marketing Mavericks, who is presenting on the side of BJ's. Once they're finished with their presentation, we're going to hand it over to the Digital Dynamos, who is presenting on iRobot. So, without any further ado, let's introduce our teams.
He's the AVP of Practice Development for Ayantek, and when he's not in the office, he's ripping it up on the drums in his punk rock band. Please welcome Brett Borgeson! She's known as the Rimmelator for her fast-walking, fast-talking style and passion for obliterating the competition. She's a multi-channel marketing consultant for market leaders. Please welcome Jan Rimmel! And finally, he's the VP of Products at Percussion Software. He's boxed in the Chicago Golden Gloves and has a stellar record of 0 wins and 1 loss. Please welcome Dan Flanagan. And together, these are your Marketing Mavericks.
Thank you, Marketing Mavericks. And now, founder and CEO of Blue Train Mobile. He has such a horrible taste in music that his wife does not allow him anywhere near the audio. And the only person who will share his music with him is his 11-year-old niece. Please welcome Stephen Morales. Now, we have the founder of Blue Wave Marketing. He has concocted his favorite drink, which is the Blue Wave. He also... Typical fall. Here is John Moran. Lastly, President and CEO of Ayantek. He is an avid cricket player and a Bollywood enthusiast. Please welcome Praveen Raghunathan. Together, they are your Digital Dynamos.
All right, we got a great event for you. These two teams are going to share their great solutions, but just as a disclaimer that these ideas are meant to be a mock scenarios for this show only. And without further ado, I'd like to invite Melissa Mipps, AVP of Creative and Digital Services for BJ's, to present her business challenge to the Marketing Mavericks.
Hi everybody. Hello everyone. So, BJ's provides high quality branding and private label products to its members at really great prices. And because membership is our basis, we have great data and analytics on every trip our member makes in addition to every item that goes in their basket. How can BJ's leverage this data to not only drive sales and trips, but enhance the member shopping experience and really surprise and delight our members with every trip they make to our clubs. The challenge is on.
Challenge accepted. So let's start with what we know about BJ's. So we know that they target families. And families, as we know, are very nuanced. And they're nuanced around lifestyle, life events, and also culture. So how do we start to look at their target audiences and deliver exceptional value and experiences based on their background and what we know about them? Oh, can we go back to that first slide? Okay, so at the beginning we know as families are really starting out, there's a need to sort of gear up and plan for your children. So buying furniture, planning the layout, and starting to gear up for babies has a need set and a shopping pattern all of its own. And then as families start to grow, we start to look at how do you support families' ages, stages, seasonally, and what are those types of products and services that they might need as the family grows. There are multicultural considerations. So there are certain types of foods that family likes to celebrate. There are multi-generational issues that might come into play as families start to move in together and help out with other family members. And so really understanding where consumers are at each age and stage of that experience is really helpful. And using the data that you have to enhance those experiences and deliver value, rewards, and also convenience is a great way to ensure that your customers are happy and that they keep coming back. So strategically, what did we do? We looked at the challenge of how do you use social, mobile, cloud, and analytics to create a marketing utility that would enhance customer convenience, customer rewards and values, and then ultimately make it even enjoyable both whether they're planning or in-store, start to make a seamless experience across those different channels. So we really looked at 4 levers, and we really focused on the ones that we understand that their customers use. So what are those channels that are most important? And if you're a family and you're connecting, whether you're having a new child and sharing pictures, or whether you're sharing recipes, social media is a big part of that. So using social media to enhance the awareness of their products and promotions is really big. But then using things like Facebook and Pinterest and even Instagram to show products that they might want to buy, to give them recipes, to help them do planning events, we're going to start to build interest and build their brand value. So taking that social media play and starting to create promotional codes and rewards that can be shared and around those events and those timeframes are helpful. And then using that past purchase data that we have available to serve those offers up based on either their events or their social graph or things that they might have purchased before become very useful so that it's served up at the right time to the right person with the right message. Mobile engagement is going to be a key part of our strategy because it's going to enable convenience, whether it's planning stages of that, how can you put your wish list or things that you might need into a mobile app, but then also then leverage that in-store to be a convenient tool that could also tie the planning stage, the in-store to after-purchase strategies. And then lastly, the key is to integrate all of these different things in a way that's seamless to the consumer so that it's frictionless if the consumer wants to access and plan in one medium, shop in another, but everything's sort of stored in one place, which the cloud allows us to do pretty conveniently. But then the experience itself can be accessed and engaged through each of the channels. And therein lies the big challenge, because as a big company, it's much harder to start to do that. So what you'll see today is how we approached it for BJ's, knowing that they have a large membership base, lots of different stores, legacy systems in place already that we have to manage to and start to bring in those other channels. So what you'll see is our approach to that, focusing on social and mobile. And while it may look like it's sort of just a marketing utility, the real finesse comes in the fact that BJ's is a big company, and so moving into those channels has to be considered relative to the size of the business and the legacy systems. And so for them to move into that takes a little bit of time, takes the ability to be agile and flexible with these new channels, but to also integrate it in a way that makes sense for both their member base as well as their organization. So with that said, we're going to show you what we came up with, and I'm going to turn that over to Dan to do that.
Thanks, Jan. In his book Utility, Jay Baer talked about the fact that effective marketing is really all about providing information that's useful to the user. And Aman from Google yesterday he used the term utility marketing. And so what we're really looking at is the notion of utility marketing, providing a tool, an app, that is actually useful to the consumer. The worst thing you can do is provide an app that is of no value to the end user, because they may take that moment to install it on their phone, but if they're not getting value, they're going to immediately take it away. So what we're looking to do is deliver an application that provides information to that member that really explains to them the value of their membership, and also provides them convenience and utility that they can use the application whether they're at the store or away from the store. So imagine you walk in, you're a member at BJ's, you walk into a club and you see that there's a BJ's app. So you go ahead, you go through that process, you install it on your phone. First thing you can do is you can scan in your membership card, and as soon as we do that, we have a wealth of information about you so that we can start to target and personalize your experience in that application. As Melissa mentioned, they've already gathered a wealth of analytical data about their members, so we're able to serve this up in a very convenient way. Now, the other wonderful thing about mobile, right, is we are location aware, so that whether I'm in the Stoneham store or whether I'm at my home in Andover, it knows where I am and it can help me with information that's relative to my geographic location, not just my member preferences. So we really broke this app down into three sort of key stories. The first being that we understand that there's a certain buyer behavior that members at BJ's have. They love the notion of the treasure hunt, right? If you've ever been a BJ's member, you go in and there's the big area in the middle where there's all those either seasonal offers or there's sort of the great value offer that's there at the time. And so there's this treasure hunt mentality of knowing that I'm going to go to the BJ's and there's going to be something special there that wasn't there the last time I was there. Letting people know about that before they get to the store is a tremendous value, right? Because if I'm sitting at home, again, sitting at home looking on the couch, I'm thinking of going to the store, I look, I can immediately get some information about, well, should I go to Manchester or should I go to Stoneham? I also need to know that certain locations only have certain things. So if I'm looking for tires, I might not go to one location because they don't have that offer there. So providing that information to me is really going to help me in making my decision about what I'm going to do. Now, we also know that one of the big buyer behaviors that members have at a BJ's Club is they love the tastings, right? That's actually a big motivation for people. They get there, they immediately go to the back of the store, they're trying out the smoked sausage, they're trying out the shrimp cocktail, the fruit plate, whatever it is. And so again, knowing that that's going to be there, that can help drive behavior. BJ's knows that if we can get some of those people that are just on a 60-day plan to actually join and become a member, or those people that are members to make one more trip, that provides tremendous value back to BJ's. So we really want to encourage that behavior. Now, we also want to encourage the social sharing, as Jan mentioned, so that if I'm at the store and there's an offer for tires, that I have the ability to share that with my neighbor, whether that person is a member or not, and let them know, hey, you know, I know you're looking for snow tires, there's a great offer here. And that can be shared through any number of channels, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Twitter, whether that's email, right? So providing that ability to share that information is tremendously important. Now, the other key concept is the idea of information or offers that are personalized to me. And again, we've gathered a tremendous amount of material, of information about our buyers and about buying patterns of our members. So if I go into the store and I buy a 3-pack of Similac, it's probably likely that I'm also going to need diapers and wipes. And maybe with the Christmas season coming up, maybe I'm going to need some kids' toys, right? So if I see that you're making those kind of purchases, I can make suggestions for other purchases like those. I can also then maybe suggest brands. So I can start to drive people maybe to use the BJ's brand, the Berkeley & Jensen brand, and I can provide better deals there because of the margins that are associated with having their own private brand versus another brand that they offer in the store. So providing those personalized offers is another tremendous value. And again, I can either share those with my friends or go ahead and add them to the third idea, which is the idea of the wish list. So part of the whole member experience in a BJ's Club is walking around and seeing what's there. Now, I'm not always ready to buy at that moment, right? So if I'm walking down the aisle and I see that Keurig coffee maker, and I keep thinking about that Keurig coffee maker, but I'm not ready to take the plunge because it's just a little over my price range. I've got a Keurig, I've already got a coffee maker. Do I really need that thing? But I take a picture of it, I scan it in, and then BJ's can make me an offer that might encourage me to make that transition. So I can kind of add it to my wish list, and then BJ's can help me, encourage me maybe to make that decision to go ahead and buy it. The other thing that I can do is I can start to use this as a utility at home. If I'm getting ready to shop, I can put down my shopping list of the things that I'm going to need when I'm there. I can do it photo-based, so I could take a picture of the Progresso soup can that's on my shelf. There's only one left. You know, as an individual with kids that love soup, I know I go through about 10 of those every 2 weeks. So, well, I better remember when I'm in the store to go ahead and pick that up. So that notion of personal utility, of doing something that's useful for me, is a very important part of that experience. And it's also a reason for me to use the app outside of the store. And lastly, to help the member understand that BJ's is in the business of providing solutions and of really providing value to the members, is aggregating coupons for that user, right? So that rather than me having to think, do I have all the right coupons? Did I look through the flyers? Did I take the mailing with me? If those offers are provided to me digitally, when I go up to the cash register and I scan in my membership card or my QR code into the register, it can actually sort of aggregate all of those coupons for me so that I'm always guaranteed that I'm going to get the best price, the best offer. And again, that's going to show to me the value of BJ's, the value of my membership. So by pulling together these ideas of utility, of personal value to me, and of that treasure hunt or what's fun or why I want to go to BJ's, we hope to provide an experience that is of value to the members so that they want to have that app on their phone, that's going to drive the behavior that then is of value to BJ's, whether it be one more trip or one more item in my cart. And really, we're not far from the days where I'm going to be able to do all of this. I mean, we've heard some great stuff about technology in the last day and a half here. Right? I'm not too far from the day where I might have a smart watch that's going to remind me of all of this information when I'm at the store. So, you know, the possibility of providing utility and providing information for people just in time as they need it is incredibly powerful. It can really help out the BJ's experience.
So just one quick point to make about the analytics that Dan has been talking about. Our intent here is to leverage the cloud technologies to support the analytics from which offers are generated based on business rules and past buying behavior. This is not intended to leverage personal information, but members would be offered an opportunity to opt out if they had concerns, or if just to make them more comfortable if they had a choice in that case.
Yeah, and in fact, you know, when we think about the technology and really what's ahead or what's immediately available, you know, again, imagine I'm in the store, I'm buying some cheese, I'm buying some meat, and all of a sudden my app provides for me a wine pairing. And based on the fact that I've got the new iPhone with the M7 chip, it knows where I am in the store, and it says, you know what, the wine is over there in aisle 5. And so it actually can prompt me to go to the right location in the store and get that thing that I wanted to buy. And I mean, if we take it even further, just imagine the day where I'm walking down the aisle and my Google Glass vibrates on my ear and says, hey, look to the left. And there's the thing that I was supposed to buy that my wife reminded me of that I would have forgotten otherwise. So that kind of convenience is right around the corner, and it's only going to get more interesting. I'm thinking, when am I going to have to worry about getting an e-ink tattoo that tells me what it is that I've got to buy when I go to the store? That's the direction, and if we can provide utility that's of value to both the brand and to the member, that's a win-win for everybody.
All right, well, that was such a great performance, and now I want to call up Matt Cooney, who is the social media social media manager at iRobot, to present their business solution to the digital dynamos. Thank you, Marketing Mavericks. That was a great presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, I'm with iRobot, and we are a Bedford-based manufacturer of robotics with a global footprint. And what that means is for over 20 years, we've been selling robots in distinct categories to a global audience. We have home robots. Many of you are maybe familiar with the Roomba. We have robots for defense and security, and we have robots that we are calling remote presence applications for both teleconferencing and healthcare. So these are, you can see some of these robots featured to the left. What our challenge is, sort of what it always has been, is if we have these different capabilities, how do we thread them together into one common narrative? How do we develop our brand in general, distinct from a very well-known product, specifically the Roomba? How do we distinguish our company, our capabilities, and ourselves within the general robotic space? So to the dynamos, it has been posed the challenge of incorporating the social, mobile, analytic, and cloud capabilities. And this is the challenge that they have accepted with vigor. So we look forward to their response.
Thank you, Matt. So, on behalf of the Digital Dynamo team, we're really excited to be pitching you, Matt. And we've been training really hard back at our offices. We've been skipping rope. We have been running stairs. We've been punching coffee machines and snack machines. And we are ready to rumble. So, just to provide a quick overview of our approach. First of all, what I wanted to do is quickly recap what Matt mentioned about our challenge. So our challenge is to develop a cohesive digital marketing strategy that incorporates content, brand, and technology and leverages the Smackstack. And we need to do that in a way that helps us reach the goals of all of our stakeholders. So we decided to set 3 goals for our campaign. The first goal is related to just general robotics. What we want to do is try and further education about robotics and also increase knowledge about robot-human interaction. Our second goal is, of course, to build brand awareness about iRobot. This is an amazing company that's at the leading edge of a nascent industry and is really helping to define the future of robotics. So we want to further the iRobot brand. And lastly, we want to help create new markets so that you can sell more product. One of our challenges is that every good campaign needs to begin by understanding the target audiences. And for iRobot, these audiences are really diverse. We're talking about people in the home, consumers, defense and security, education, and commercial customers. So how do we bring all of our campaign idea around these very diverse audiences? So we decided to focus on 2 audiences. And we think if we reach just 2 of these, that by reaching them, we'll have really great downstream implications for everyone that iRobot is trying to reach. And the 2 audiences that we picked, where we created campaigns, the first one is consumers. So we love this audience because this audience already loves robotics. They have seen how robotics can make an incredible difference in the quality of their lives. And iRobot has really led the way in making that happen. With over 10 million units sold, Scuba, Roomba, the Luge, really cool products. These people already have seen the impact of robotics on their lives. And what we want to do in our campaign, and you'll hear the details in a moment, we want to create a path for them to show their love of robotics and share it with people that they interact with, share it with their friends. The second audience that we want to reach with our mock campaign for iRobot is the student audience, student engineers. These are the future inventors, engineers, and business leaders of tomorrow. And we know that if we reach this audience, we're sort of seeding the field. We're really helping to achieve our objectives of educating folks about robotics and showing robot-human interaction and really building the future for iRobot. So we've pulled together a campaign that leverages social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. And for our audiences, we're going to create engaging, inspirational, and really memorable experiences. So here to tell us a little bit about our campaign overview, as well as how we're going to target our first audience, the consumer audience, is John. Over to you.
Thank you, Stefan. So I'm here to talk about the overall campaign that we came up with for this exercise. And we wanted to create something that was kind of edgy and sticky, and with messaging and branding that would really resonate with both core audiences. And what we came up with was, and also feel very personal, have a personal connection to those audiences. My bot. Sounds a little bit like my robot, but it's my bot. Kind of simple, 5 letters. And we think it works well on 2 levels. One, for the consumer audience, if you people, anybody here have iRobots at home? Have any a Roomba? I see a bunch of hands going up, of course, Matt. People treat them like their pets, and sometimes like their family members in their house. So they form a very personal connection with their iRobots. So we thought My Robot works very well on that level. And on another level, people that invent robots, the inventors and entrepreneurs, if you design something, you're going to consider it yours. You're going to take it personally. So we think that for that segment of the audience that Stefan outlined, that it works well for that. So we decided to have one campaign for both. And on a high level, now switching to the consumer audience, our overarching goal and strategy is really to create great awareness around the iRobot brand and ultimately to drive sales. And to do that, we want to interact with and engage millions of people as many times as we can, over and over again through iRobot's web properties. And the first concept we came up with was the MyBot video contest. And for this, consumers would take 30-second to 2-minute videos of their personal iRobot, such as the Roomba, and put it into various funny situations. Everybody here probably is aware that humor is the #1 driver that makes a video go viral online. So we thought that'd be a great direction to go. This would be played out through iRobot's web properties and social media channels. And the audience would vote on their favorite videos, and the winner would win different prizes from iRobot. As an example, there's people doing this right now, taking videos and putting these random videos online. So there's a iRobot fan that has a video of they took that's got millions of hits, I believe almost 5 million hits on YouTube, and it shows what happens when you put a cat and a dog and a Roomba in a room together. So we don't think it'd be hard to get some pretty hilarious videos through this contest and generate a lot of attention online with that challenge. Another idea we came up with was the MyBot Online Game Challenge. And for this, just like with the video challenge, we would it would be played out online with custom games that we would create using iRobot properties. And where the winners with the high scores would win prizes from iRobot. Different ideas we came up with were similar to, say, Pac-Man having the MyBot man go out and instead of eating just dots, eating maybe dust and dirt and avoiding things like rings and money. If you had a Roomba, you're probably aware of that kind of challenge. So that kind of thing, or other games like Asteroids or other games featuring different iRobot game products. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Praveen, who will be discussing the next segment, engineers, entrepreneurs, and inventors.
Thank you, John. Can everybody hear me okay in the back? Yeah? Okay. So I just want to take a step back and just go back to something that Stefan mentioned earlier. which is, think about iRobot as a company, right? They're a company at the forefront of this robotic revolution that's going to, in 50, 100 years, we're all going to be, humanity is going to be engaged with robots in a way that we're engaged with machines today, right? We don't think about using our cell phone. It's a machine. In some ways, it's a robot, but we don't think about it as a robot, right? It's the human culture and the human experience slowly accepts these beings into our lives, and they become part and parcel of our lives. So what we really want to create is an experience through robotics by furthering the field of robotics. And the way to do that is to create an ecosystem that will allow people to engage with robots on a day-to-day basis in their lives, right? And the people who will make that happen are the engineers, the inventors, the entrepreneurs who are going to take that and bring robotics to the next generation of humanity. So with that context, let's go back, 100 years or so, right? If you remember the aeroplane, the common aeroplane that we all travel and we take for granted, it was built by Oliver and Wilbur Wright, right, on a field, grassy field in the middle of nowhere. They would go take these parts that they would build it by themselves. They would stick it all together in their garage or their barn, in that case, and then they would take it out to the field, stick it all together, and try to jump off and try to fly, right? So think about that experience. Somebody in a field built the aeroplane that we all take for granted in today's age. So what we're really talking about here is how can we make the robotics engineers, the next generation engineers, get engaged in robotics? How can we create an experience that allows them to take their passion and build something? And that's what we're trying to capture through our campaign. So the way we thought about it was, hey, what can we do to facilitate this? What can we do to facilitate this in a connected world? So a lot of you might have read the book, The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman, right? I'm sure a lot of you have heard about that. And what that book talks about is really that, it's become so easy for people in India and China and France and Japan and Argentina and the US to collaborate with one another, to build stuff together. And that's the power of the world being flat. So what we really wanted to do was to take that entrepreneurial spirit, take that inventor spirit through the engineer in China and the engineer in France and the engineer in Argentina and the US, and bring them all together in a way where they can collaborate and build the next generation of robotics. And our idea for that was to create a virtual design center that would live within the iRobot properties, right? So an engineer, entrepreneur can come in there, they can collaborate with other engineers and really use that as a mechanism to drive the next generation of robots. So I can talk about robotics, but I can't use a clicker. Here we go. I figured it out. So, this is just a wireframe, an example of a design center that a potential robotics engineer might fire up. They come to the iRobot.com site, this thing fires up, and they get an opportunity to use some reference robotic circuits that are already in place. They can start to build stuff through this design center. They can then collaborate and connect with the engineer in China and say, hey, let's start talking about this stuff. Let's brainstorm. Let's start to build this next generation robot. They can, add all of the items into their cart. They can, there's a whole e-commerce aspect to this. They can, there's documentation. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do within this virtual design center that allow the engineer in China and Japan and all over the world to collaborate with each other and really drive the next generation of robotics design, right? And the best part is, iRobot gets to be the platform player where all of this is happening, right? So they are not only being at the forefront of the robotics revolution today, they're going to be at the forefront of the robotics revolution for years to come, because they're really fostering this environment, this ecosystem of all these players coming together and working within robotics. The next is simple. You take those robotics designs and you run a campaign. You run a social campaign, you run a mobile campaign. You get consumers, you bridge the gap between the consumers and the engineers, where you put up these things for awards and say, hey consumer, which of these robot designs are of most value to you, right? Simple stuff. So how does it all come together with the Smackstack? So I'm going to kind of tie it all together in terms of the Smackstack and what each of you as marketers can really think about when you think about the Smackstack, right? The first is, how do you use social? In the case of the consumer, John described a few scenarios where we were using social gamification, the concept of getting people to play games, to engage, to collaborate, to really drive that interactivity that you need to drive the consumer affinity. In the case of the engineers, it's social invention. You're getting people to collaborate and build new stuff. So that's a unique way of thinking of how to use social to gravitate and get together a certain audience type. The next is the mobile, right? You're getting, mobile video captures. John just showed you a video where somebody took a video on their iPad or on their cell phone of this cat and this dog having a nice SMACdown themselves. The cat was winning, I think. And so the concept here is, there you have mobility, and social and mobile are so connected these days, right? And for the inventor audience, it's about concept collaboration. You have the Chinese engineer walking down a path, they're in the park, they're talking on the phone with the engineer in Britain, and they're talking about what the next generation robotic design should look like. On the analytics side, man, you can measure this thing 10 different, 15 different ways, right? So in social engagement, you can measure, how many people are, uploading videos, how many hits you've got, how many views you've got. In the design space or in the inventor space, you can really measure the quality of engineering. What is the cycle time to go from an initial build that a robotics engineer builds to all the way to where it's submitted to the iRobot awards and iRobot R&D engineers are looking at it. And then finally, the cloud. All of this is completely scalable. You need a lot of computing power when you're uploading hundreds of thousands of videos. Does anyone know how many videos get uploaded per second on YouTube? Any guesses? 5, 10, what was that? 23? You're a little on the low side. Just a little. Anybody, any more guesses? Go big. 1 million. Per minute. Did I say a second? A minute, right? And so think about it. There's so much stuff, all sorts of crap, a lot of dogs and cats fighting with each other, on Roombas or not, right, on there. And this is happening. And so when you're thinking about that, you need a lot of computing power. You need a lot of storage. That scalability you can achieve only through the cloud. Same thing with the engineering crowd as well. You need on-demand scalability. You're firing up a big application, a lightweight HTML5 application that's going to sit on a web property, but nonetheless, you're building robots on it or designing robots on it. So you need some serious computing power, and that is what the cloud offers. So for each of you marketers, as you think about this, I really ask you to think about these 4 quadrants. When you're thinking about marketing in your daily life, think about what these next generation technologies are going to do for you from a marketing perspective, how they're going to affect the consumer behavior, how you're going to engage them using social, mobile, what kind of metrics are you going to track, and how are you going to get that computing power? Because guess what? There's computing power, they're going to use it. So that's what I want to leave you with today. And that's our show, folks. Thank you.
Those are 2 great solutions. It's going to be tough to decide the winner.
I don't know who I would pick, but there's a good side to this. We're not picking the winners.
You guys are. So now we are going to open up our text to voting. We have information on your bottom of your flyers. You text 1 for the marketing Mavericks, and you text 2 for the digital dynamos. And text the number to the SMAC number right up on the screen or on your flyer.
Now, during this time, we're also going to have a question and answer session where you can ask either team any one of the questions that you wanted to know to make your deciding vote, and each person gets 1 text per vote, so make your choice very wisely.
All right, so now we'll open it up to questions.
Okay. Do we have a mic?
my question is for the BJ's team. So in selling this, right, so you're either going to sell this to CMO, CIO, CTO, somebody. And the question I had was, are you selling this as a differentiator, a increase in lifetime value for your customer, or a cost of doing business just because, right? So we want to differentiate against Sam's Club. We want to increase lifetime value by 5 or 10% per customer per transaction, or really it's just cost of doing business, guys. Like, you got to do it, and we're going to try and do it the best possible way and monetize it. So in making that final pitch for that, what is, how are you selling me, and which one are you selling me, CMO, CTO?
Well, I think when you think about the CIO, CTO, and CMO, I mean, we've heard a couple different presentations in the last couple of days that said, really, you can't think of one or the other. I've got to be pitching both in an effective organization. And I think, you know, there's a cost of doing business element, but I think there is definitely, you know, as I said, that BJ's is really in the business of trying to provide solutions to their customers and have them understand the value. When their members understand the value of their membership, that results in greater sales, greater visits, greater revenue. So I think, you know, the more utility and value that they can provide to their customers, the more they're going to see that return. So I think we would definitely be looking at a direct measurement in terms of, you know, are we seeing that this is driving additional sales with those members that are actually using the app versus not? Are we seeing changes in behavior pattern as a result of using the app or not? So yeah, it's not just cost of doing business.
So just to build on a little bit, in our discussions with BJ's, you start with marketing, and we looked at customer lifetime value and how to increase customer lifetime value, you know, traffic, visits, baskets. But ideally, it has to be consumer-centric. So in order for it to work, it has to be designed for the consumer. It's supporting marketing initiatives, and IT or the IS group or whatever they might call it within their organization is going to weigh in on the actual application. So I think it's very much a collaborative decision, and in some companies, you know, marketing will own the strategy and sort of the marketing execution. IT might own the budget. But it's good to get the input from both sides so that we're considering it, you're getting buy-in, and that we're delivering, you know, to all of the different needs. But at the end of the day, I think it's a marketing utility.
Should be. You know, that wasn't something that we targeted as we talked about this. I think one of the things that's dangerous anytime you're providing an application is having it try to do too many things, right? So why would a Costco person ever install an application to find out whether they should be a BJ's member? I think that behavior pattern you wouldn't see, so it'd be unlikely that you'd want to try to target that.
But what I'm saying is that are you going to reach out to new users, or if I don't really know if that's an application you're offering, maybe that's an incentive for me to realize that actually you're providing more customer experience or value, and that's a reason for me to actually look at you when I'm not.
So you raise a good point. So one of BJ's brand value propositions is about great brands at great prices. So there's a value proposition that's there, and value is delivered in lots of different ways for customers. In this case, we looked at how to create value for the existing customers and drive more traffic and basket sales. But the value proposition is a big one, and if there's great brands, great savings, and now we made it really easy to find those, get those, and get our shopping quicker, we think that's going to drive sales. So we didn't look at it as an acquisition, but rather a retention and sales tool.
Okay, now before we take any more questions, we just want to make excuse me, a brief announcement that iRobot is having a raffle, and they are raffling off a Roomba and a luge robot. And the way you all are enrolled is at the bottom of your flyer, you'll see a number. And what that number is going to do is a week from now, iRobot is going to send out an email to everyone that attended this conference, and we're going to choose the numbers that we want to be the winners. Now, Ayantek, I'm sorry. When you get that email, if you are the winner, you are required to hold on to your flyer and bring that with you when you come to pick up your robot if you are the winner. So first, we would like to get an email back from you to know that you are still interested, and you need to keep your flyer and bring it with you to come pick up the robot when you do win your product.
Don't let that influence your decision, your vote, okay?
So my question is for the iRobot team, because you guys don't get off the hook. The question is how many people do you think really care about, you know, the old adage of I don't only care about a quarter-inch hole, I don't care about a quarter-inch drill, right? So how many people that are buying and consuming the iRobot really don't care about the iRobot, they really care about a clean room? And so your marketing campaigns were stroked on maybe potentially the early adopters who love the iRobot, right? Not the people mainstream which you need to get scale and ultimately sell more iRobots. So was there a concern about, you know, the people that don't care about how I get a clean room, besides the fact that I don't want to clean it, you know, let somebody else clean it, and if a robot can do it, you know, what was the concern or what was the thought process around, you know, early adopters and people that bought it initially and now?
Yeah, so the way that we thought about it was that it's, you know, there's not a general awareness in human life, you know, in India and China and other emerging markets about robotics. You know, people don't have robots over there in their lives. So, you know, what we really, you know, in order to meet the overarching goal, which Stefan again had mentioned, which is, you know, how do we raise general awareness about robotics and how it can help humanity, we really felt that's a long term. I mean, we're talking about a few decades before, you know, people all over the world start to understand robots and the value it will bring and all of that, right? So the way what we thought was, you know, if there's a way we can, you know, supercharge the initial onboarding process. And the way to supercharge it is the people who know robots right now, who have Roombas and Scubas and Luges in their household, who are passionate about this. I mean, you're seeing videos. I mean, this is just one video that John showed you. There's a ton of videos out there, and you can see all sorts of people falling in love with their robots, right? And so our perspective was, in a campaign such as this, where we're talking about decades of building awareness around robotics, you know, we don't have the marketing wherewithal at this point to figure out even what that market looks like 50 years from now. All we're trying to do is, in the next 2 years, how can we, you know, engage the audience in a way that will help me as a robot owner get signed into this experience, and then go tell my brother, go tell my dad, go tell my, you know, my nurse, and, you know, whoever it is, you know, go talk to all of the people. And, you know, I'm sure as you were walking down the path, down the corridor here, you might have, if you were here yesterday, you saw the Roomba kind of circling around the corridor, and, you know, it probably, you know, is like, what is that thing doing here? You know, what's going on here? So, you know, these people who turn on their Roombas in their homes, they usually turn it on during party times, because they, you know, it's all an attraction. And so they're like, wow, watch my Roomba clean the whole floor up, right? And that's what we're saying. We're really talking about kind of social viral marketing in a way by which we get these early adopters engaged and then use that as a mechanism to really drive greater consumer awareness. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions?
One more thing. So BJ's did give free membership coupons. If that helps you guys at all. We're a little low here. Membership coupons, 60 days. Come get them.
Okay, so while the last few votes are trickling in, and they're playing for this, by the way, championship belt. We have just two other announcements. You also received a flyer from Blue Wave Marketing for their Marketing Integration Forum that will be held December 3rd at 8 to 10 in the Boston Marriott in Newton, Mass. There will be speakers from Blue Wave, Bright Cove, HubSpot, and Brett's going to be speaking about the Smackstack from Ayantek. So that's going to be another great forum. And Marissa, do you have another announcement?
And if that wasn't enough, on the back of your flyer, you'll also notice the SMAC assessment. So through this, everyone at this conference, we want to get you to get your SMAC assessment. And there's two ways of doing so. You can scan the QR code right on here, which will lead you to our landing page for you to sign up to get a SMAC assessment from Ayantek. Or you can visit this link underneath right in orange, and you can also go to the landing page through that to sign up for your SMAC assessment from Ayantek. And now we are going to crown the SMACdown champion.
And it looks like it's the Digital Dynamos. Congratulations, guys.
Both teams had great presentations, but by a very small percentage, it was the Dynamos. But like BJ said, there is free giveaways in the back. Blue Wave also has some information for you and some videos. And thank you all for coming. I hope you all had such a great time.